Hi, fifth grade. Mrs. Pecora here. So we're still reading The Witches, and now she had talked about her secret formula for turning kids into mice, and now she was saying she made one yesterday and she set it to go off in 7 minutes. So I wonder what is going on here. So let's read and find out in The Witches. The audience of witches was listening intently, sensing that something dramatic was about to happen. So what I am doing yesterday with this magic liquid? Asked the Grand High Witch. I will tell you what I am not doing. I am putting one droplet of it into a very squishy chocolate bar, and I'm giving this bar to a repulsive, smelly little boy who is hanging around the lobby of the hotel. The Grand High Witch paused. The audience remained silent, waiting for her to go on. I watched this repulsive little brute gobble up the squishy bar of chocolate, and then he finished, and I said to him, "Was that good?" He said it was great. So I said to him, "Would you like some more?" And he said, "Yes." So I said, "I will give you 6 more chocolate bars like that if you will meet me in the ballroom of this hotel at 3:25 tomorrow afternoon." 6 bars, cried this greedy little swine. I'll be there. You bet I'll be there. So the stage is set, shouted the Grand High Witch. The proof of the pudding is about to begin. Do not forget that before I'm roasting the alarm clock yesterday, I'm setting it for 3:30 today. It is now, she glanced again at her watch, it is now exactly 25 minutes past 3, and the nasty little stinker who will be turning into a mouse in 5 minutes' time should be at this very moment standing outside the doors. And by gum, she was absolutely right. The boy, whoever he may be, was already rattling the door handle and banging on the doors with his fist. "Quick!" shrieked the Grand High Witch. "Put on your wigs! Put on your gloves! Put on your shoes!" There was a great rustle and bustle of putting on wigs and gloves and shoes, and I saw the Grand High Witch herself reach for her face mask and put it on over that revolting face of hers. It was astonishing how that mask transformed her. All of a sudden, she became a rather pretty young lady. "Let me in," came the boy's voice from behind the doors. "Where are those chocolate bars you promised me? I'm here to collect. Dish them out." "He is not only smelly, he is greedy," said the Grand High Witch. "Remove the chains from the doors and let him come in." The extraordinary thing about the mask was that its lips moved quite naturally when she spoke. You really couldn't see it was a mask at all. One of the witches leapt to her feet and unfastened the chains. She opened the 2 huge doors. Then I heard her saying, "Why, hello, little man. How lovely to see you. You have come for your chocolate bars, have you not? They're all ready for you. Do come in." A small boy wearing a white t-shirt and gray shorts and gym shoes entered the room. I recognized him at once. He was called Bruno Jenkins, and he was staying in the hotel with his parents. I didn't care for him. He was one of those boys who was always eating something wherever you meet him. Meet him in the hotel lobby, and he's stuffing sponge cake into his mouth. Pass him in the corridor, and he is fishing potato crisps out of a bag by the fistful. Caught sight of him in the hotel garden, and he is wolfing a dairy milk bar and has 2 more sticking out of his trousers pockets. What's more, Bruno never stopped boasting about how his father made more money than my father and that they owned 3 cars. But worse than that, yesterday morning I had found him kneeling on the flagstones of the hotel terrace with a magnifying glass in his hand. There was a column of ants marching across one of the flagstones, and Bruno Jenkins was focusing the sun through his magnifying glass and roasting the ants one by one. "I like watching them burn," he said. "That's horrible," I cried. "Stop doing it." "Let's see you stop me," he said. And at that point I pushed him with all my might, and he crashed sideways onto the flagstone. His magnifying glass had splintered into many pieces, and he leapt up shrieking, "My father is going to get you for this." Then he had run off, presumably to find his wealthy dad. That was the last time I had seen Bruno Jenkins until now. I doubted very much that he was about to be turned into a mouse, although I must confess I was secretly hoping it might happen. Either way, I didn't envy him being up there in front of all those witches. "Darling boy," cooed the Grand High Witch from up on her platform, "I have your chocolates all ready for you. Do come up here first and say hello to all these lovely ladies." Her voice was quite different now. It was soft and gentle and absolutely dripping with syrup. Bruno was looking a bit bewildered, but he allowed himself to be led up onto the platform, where he stood beside the Grand High Witch and said, "Okay, where are my 6 bars of chocolate?" I saw the witch who had let him in quietly putting the chain back on the door handles. Bruno didn't notice this. He was too busy asking for his chocolate. "The time is now 1 minute before 3:30, announced the Grand High Witch. "What the heck's going on?" Bruno asked. He wasn't frightened, but he wasn't looking exactly comfortable either. "What is this?" he said. "Give me my chocolate." 30 seconds to go, cried the Grand High Witch, gripping Bruno by the arm. Bruno shook himself clear and stared at her. She stared back at him, smiling with the lips of her mask. Every witch in the audience was staring at Bruno. 20 seconds, cried the Grand High Witch. "Give me the chocolate," shouted Bruno, becoming suddenly suspicious. "Give me the chocolate and let me out of here." 15 seconds, cried the Grand High Witch. "Will one of you crazy punks kindly tell me what this is all about?" shouted Bruno. 10 seconds, cried the Grand High Witch. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have ignition. I could have sworn I heard an alarm clock ringing. I saw Bruno jump. He jumped as though someone had stuck a hat pin deep in his bottom, and he yelled, "Ow!" He jumped so high that he landed on a small table up there on the stage, and he started hopping about on the top of this table, waving his arms and yelling his head off. Then suddenly he became silent. His whole body stiffened. "The alarm has gone off," shrieked the Grand High Witch. "The mouse maker's beginning to work." She started hopping about on the platform and clapping her gloved hands together, and then she shouted out, "This smelly brat, this filthy scum, this horrid little louse will very, very soon become a lovely little mouse." Bruno was getting smaller by the second. I could see him shrinking. Now his clothes seemed to be disappearing, and brown fur was growing all over his body. Suddenly he had a tail, and then he had whiskers. Now he had 4 feet. It was all happening so quickly. It was a matter of seconds only, and all at once he wasn't there anymore. A small brown mouse was running around on the tabletop. "Bravo!" yelled the audience. "She's done it! It works! It's fantastic! It's colossal! It's the greatest yet! You are a miracle, oh brainy one!" They were all standing up and clapping and cheering, and the Grand High Witch produced a mousetrap from the folds of her dress and started to set it. "Oh no," I thought. "I don't want to see this. Bruno Jenkins may have been a bit of a stinker, but I'm dashed if I want to see him having his head get chopped off." "Where is he?" snapped the Grand High Witch, searching the platform. "Where has that mouse gotten to?" She couldn't find him. Clever Bruno must have jumped out off the table and scampered into some corner or even down a small hole. Thank heavens for that. "It matters not," shouted the Grand High Witch. "Silence and sit down." The Ancient Ones. The Grand High Witch stood on the very center of the platform, and those dangerous eyes of hers traveled slowly around the audience of witches who were sitting so meekly before her. "All those over 70, put your hands up," she barked suddenly. 7 or 8 hands went up in the air. "It comes to me," said the Grand High Witch, "that you ancient ones will not be able to climb high trees in search of Grundle's eggs." "We won't, your grandness. We are afraid we won't," chanted the ancient ones. "Nor will you be able to catch the crab cruncher who lives high on the rocky cliffs," the Grand High Witch went on. "I can't exactly see you sprinting after the speedy cat springer either, or diving into deep waters to spear the blubber snitch, or striding onto the bleak moors with a gun under your arm to shoot the gobblescrit. You are too old and feeble for such things." "We are," chanted the old ones. "We are, we are." "You ancient ones have served me well over many years," said the Grand High Witch, "and I do not wish to deny you the pleasure of bumping off a few thousand children each because you have become old and feeble. I have therefore personally prepared with my own hand a limited quantity of delayed action mouse maker, which I will distribute to the ancient ones before you leave the hotel." "Oh, thank you, cried the old witches. "You are far too good for us, your grandness. You are so kind and thoughtful. Here's a sample of what I'm giving you, shouted the Grand High Witch. She fished around in a pocket of her dress and brought out a very small bottle. She held it up and shouted, In this tiny bottle is 500 doses of Mountain Maker. It is enough to turn 500 children into mice. I could see that the bottle was made of dark blue glass, and it was very small, about the same size as the ones you can buy at the chemist, with those nose drops in them. Each of you ancient ones will get 2 of these bottles, she shouted. All right, boys and girls, we have to stop there. So let's continue tomorrow and see what happens in The Witches. Have a great day.